All right, welcome back to this episode of the Schlank Show. My name is Seth Schlank, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Ron Blumberg, Yankee great and history-making first baseman and first ever designated hitter. Ron, thank you for joining me today.
Seth, it's wonderful to be able to talk to you. It's great to be able to talk to the people up in New York or your fans. And I'm really looking forward to this. And I just made a real good friend in you, Seth. And thank you very much for having me.
No problem, no problem. So, when did you first start playing baseball?
Well, I got to say, when I was young, well, of course, I was young. I first actually started when I was about 8 years old. And I started in the Little League. I played up until I was 12 years old. And then I went up to Connie Mack baseball. And then you go up the ladder, then you go to Babe Ruth baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became old enough to play high school athletics. Started as a freshman playing high school ball. And I went up the chain and I got very, very lucky. And I got pretty good, pretty quick. And it's been an unbelievable journey for me. Mm-hmm. And it's great to be able to talk to people like yourself and to identify what I've done. And I look at you. Yeah. I started it basically a little bit before you. Mm-hmm. And but it's great to be part of your show.
Well, thanks again for joining me. What was your favorite moment as a high schooler?
As a high schooler, well, I think I played all sports. Nowadays, most kids, they are specialized in one sport. I played baseball, basketball, and football. And I got pretty good, pretty quick. And I had a lot of basketball and baseball and football scholarships. Baseball wasn't, to be honest with you, Seth, yeah. Baseball wasn't really that big down south. Mm-hmm. What's really big down south is college football. Basketball was really big. And baseball was basically the third sport. Baseball got very big when the Atlanta Braves came down from Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. And baseball started generating a lot of people, a lot of interest, and it became big. But when I was in high school, baseball was not really that big. Most of my scholarship in athletics, I had almost about 125 basketball scholarships and a little bit over 100 football scholarships. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to play, to be honest with you, I was not going to play a college baseball. If I would have gone to college and play athletics, I would have played probably, I had a basketball scholarship to go to UCLA and already signed a letter of intent. And then I had a football scholarship to go to University of Alabama. Okay. But I signed with the Yankees. I did something. I was the #1 draft pick by the Yankees in 1967. And to be able to put that Yankee pinstripes on and to play up in New York and play up where all the Jews were, they're my family. I was a chosen person, just like yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'm very, very proud to have Judaism in my life. Mm-hmm. And and also to play in the greatest city in the world, New York, and to put on the greatest uniform in the world, put on the Yankee pinstripes, right, and play in front of the greatest fans in the world.
Yeah. So what made the decision to go pro right away as opposed to going, say, you could say play Alabama, play football, or to go to UCLA with John Wooden and play basketball?
Well, Seth, if I did not get drafted by the Yankees, if I got drafted by Milwaukee or Kansas City or Texas or one of those other teams,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have signed to play college athletics.
Yeah.
The only reason why I signed professionally was to play in front of the New York fans, to be able to put the Yankee pinstripes on,
Mhm.
to play. I didn't play with him, but I
Right.
came up when Mickey Mantle was just going down. Well, he was just finishing his career,
Right.
but he became a very, very good friend of mine. He was a mentor of mine. So, I mean, that was a major thing. If I, like I said before, if I did not get drafted by the Yankees, I would not have gone. By being drafted by the Yankees, I was the #1 draft choice in the country in 1967. So
Mhm.
I got drafted by #1 by everybody. And to be, like I said, to play in front of the greatest fans in the world, to play in front of all the Jews up in New York City. And
Right.
that meant an awful lot to me because that made me very, very proud.
Mhm. So what was that minor league life like back then? And do you think it's really any different than it is right now?
Oh, yeah. When we played, we made no money. When we played, we took buses everywhere. When I first signed in '67 out of high school, I went to Johnson City, Tennessee. And then I went just for a short period of time. I went to North Carolina and Kinston for a short period of time. Then I went up to Manchester, New Hampshire, and I went up, over the, I was just in the minor leagues a little bit over a year, about a year and a half. And they had me on the fast track because the Yankees at that particular time wasn't the best team in the world.
Mhm.
And I was very lucky to have some good years in the minor leagues. Well, a year and a half. And it was very difficult, to be honest with you. It's not easy when you play on a team and when you go in these small little towns in Virginia, in West Virginia, or in Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina. To be honest with you, they didn't know too much about Jews.
Right.
And so, I mean, I was pointed out a little bit. And plus, we didn't make a lot of money. Eating a good dinner was going to the White Castle because we were making like $5 a day for meal money. And up in the big leagues, well, nowadays, even in the minor leagues, they got beautiful spreads of food. They got beautiful ballparks. We had ballparks where we had like 4 or 5. It was like light bulbs
Uh-huh.
on the lights. So when somebody's throwing 100 miles an hour at you, it looked like it was going 200 miles an hour. But nowadays, you look at the fields that they actually play on. It's manicure.
Mhm.
They don't take bad hops. When we played in the minor leagues, I mean, the lights was terrible. The infields are terrible. We played with gravel on the infield. Uh, the outfield fence, I mean, it's you play on like a fence where if you touch it, it'll fall down. So, it wasn't easy. But hey, that was back then. I I have no regrets whatsoever. Uh, I got to do what I wanted to do, Seth.
Mhm.
I got to be able to be in the big leagues with the New York Yankees. And like I told you before, I'm a chosen person. I'm very proud to be Jewish and got to play in front of the greatest, greatest, greatest fans in the whole wide world.
Yeah, really. I'm sure, obviously. New York is a great place to be Jewish and a great place to play baseball. So for you, combination of those two things must have been great.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's not that easiest thing in the world.
Right.
New York, these people in New York, they know their athletics. and they know if you're giving 120% or you're giving 90%. And you better hustle for them at all times.
Right.
Because they could boo you with the best of them. Oh, they're the biggest booer. If you don't do well, if you're in a slump, they'll follow you home. And, you know, when you wake up the next morning, they have a big sign, go home. We get you a plane ticket, go home. They'll do that. But, you know, I was very lucky, you know, I was very fan friendly. The fans are the ones that made me, to be honest with you. I was a very outgoing person. The fans are the people that are the heroes of the game of baseball. I was lucky. I lived my fantasy and got to play baseball and got to put the uniform on and got to play in New York City. I was very lucky, and I was lucky to have some good years. And look, I'm talking to you after I've been out of baseball for almost 48, 45, 46 years.
Right.
So it's great to have that pedigree. I was a New York person, growing up down in Atlanta. And like I said, putting on that Yankee pinstripes were the best.
So before you played in New York, you played in the minor leagues, and then the last minor league team that you played for is the Syracuse Chiefs. What was that call up like for you? Or yeah.
Well, you know, I went to Syracuse, and I was the youngest player there. Most at that time, what the Yankees would do is they would send their great prospects to Syracuse. And I was on the Syracuse team where the guys that have already been up in the big leagues. And I'm, you know, just turned, you know, I was going on 19 years old. And the other guys have been up in the big leagues back and forth like they do now. And, you know, going to like Trenton or going to Staten Island, well, not Staten Island, but Scranton. But to be able to go to Syracuse and to play with the guys who I'm going on 19, and these guys are 25, 26, 27 years old, you know, it taught me the game of baseball, taught me the ins and outs, because I'm a young kid. You know, I'm a guy that, you know, didn't know, you know, I knew how to play baseball, but didn't know how to, you know, you go on road trips for like 10 days. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy to do that. So, I mean, they basically taught me indirectly why, you know, we got all along and they're my brothers and everything, but they're just like one step like I was to going up to the big leagues. So, you know, we got along and we did things together, but they wanted the call up rather than me getting the call up.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's not easy. You know, I mean, sports and baseball, people don't realize once you, you know, you sign out of high school, you play professional baseball, people don't realize like 2.5% of the people in the minor leagues have an opportunity to play up in the big leagues. And that's what I did. I went up to the big leagues when I was 19 years old, and you know, that's history.
So how did you feel making your big league debut?
Oh, it was great. It was on the game of the week. And it was before your time, of course. It was two of the announcers. Your father would have heard of them. It was Pee Wee Reese. You probably never heard of it. You heard of him?
Yeah.
Oh, you heard of him. Okay, you've been looking. And Dizzy Dean. You probably heard of Dizzy Dean. Okay, two of those guys. So, and I went up to New York, and the Yankees were not really big at that particular time. And the Yankees were in a downfall rather going uphill. So there was just probably about 15,000 people in the stadium. And I was the first Jewish ball player ever to be able to play and to put on the Yankee uniform. And they gave me a standing O, 15,000 people. And in New York, in Yankee Stadium, where the stadium was fairly large, 15,000 people didn't seem like a lot of people. But the big thing was it was the big thing was playing in front of all the national attention because it was the game of the week. So millions of people was watching me. And but as soon as I put my uniform on, went out on the field, it didn't bother me. People said, "Were you nervous?" No, I was excited. It was, if I'm nervous, I shouldn't be there. Nervous is different than being excited. Nervous is you're gonna make mistakes. You don't want to be nervous. You could be, you could have butterflies. It's nothing. That's not. Maybe you call it nervous, but people that were you afraid to get up to bat in front of this person and this person? I said, no. This is what I dreamt about my whole life. Got to play in national TV in front of fans in Yankee Stadium.
Did you have a veteran teammate at the time that you would say was your biggest mentor?
You talking about the big leagues or the minor league?
And the big leagues. Both.
Okay, I would say my closest friend on the team, and that's what my book was about. I don't know if you've seen about my book. It's coming out pretty soon, but I would say Thurman was my roommate for a little bit over 4 years. I would say Thurman, I would say Goose Gossage, I would say Mickey Rivers, I would say Catfish Hunter. I would say, those people are probably my closest friends on the team, and that we did a lot of stuff together. And those are my compadres. These are the people that, you talk about Mickey Rivers, he's from the South. Talking about Catfish Hunter, he was from the South.
Right.
You talking about Thurman, who was from Canton, Ohio. He's from the Midwest. And, but we're very, very close-knit. We're very, very close-knit. Even though we didn't have a great team, but we had very close people on our team that I was close with.
So how did that whole concept of a designated hitter come about?
Well, you're talking about the day I screwed up the game of baseball on April 6, 1973, right?
Exactly, yeah.
It is coming up. To be honest with you, nobody ever thought that the DH was going to even exist. We thought it was a fairy tale. We thought it was like a designated pinch hitter. We never thought that the DH was going to be in existence for a long period of time. And they did adopt it. The National League did not have it, of course, and they don't have it now. They're the dumbest people in the world not to get a universal, because it's been 48 years. You mean they can't make a decision in 48 years to have the DH? What they doing now is having, like, they talking about on tie games, they're gonna have a designated runner to see if they can score and get the game over with quicker, right?
Right.
They talking about having robotics as umpires a little bit. So they have the switch from second base, the shift. What they're doing from they putting everybody at second base and shortstop where you can't get a base hit. Hey. And they can't adopt it after 48 years and make a decision. But anyway, how it started was I was down in spring training. I was 19 years old. Was having a really a good season before. 4 days before we were supposed to break camp in Fort Lauderdale, I pulled a hamstring. And when I pulled a hamstring, we had 1-year contracts. And when you had 1-year contracts, if you get sent down to the minor leagues, you might not get brought back up. And I don't know if you know the story with Wally, Pip, and Lou Gehrig.
Right.
And when Wally Pip got injured, Lou Gehrig took first base, and that's history, right? That's history. And Wally Pip got lost in the shuffle. And back when I played, you had 1-year contracts. And when you have 1-year contracts, you just sent down to the minor leagues. It's a very good shot. You don't get called up again. So I pulled a hamstring, and we're on the flight going to Boston. I knew Louis Tiant, who was a great pitcher for the Red Sox. And to be honest with you, they came up to me. Ralph Houck was our manager. Dick Hauser was our third base coach, and Elston Howard was our hitting and our first base coach. And they asked me, was I okay to play? I said, absolutely. And we flew up. It was like 35 degrees up in Boston. Get to the ballpark. I couldn't even hardly walk with my leg, of course. So got to the ballpark early. Took some therapy by the trainers. They wrapped me up like a mummy. Like the first day I met Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle looked like he was mummy. He was wrapped up from his toes to his ankle, toes to his stomach. And they wrapped my leg up. And was I good? It was so cold. I didn't, and to be honest with you, it was just beginning of the season up in Fenway Park. And I get to the ballpark. I looked at the lineup card, and it has Ron Blumberg DH. And that was a designated hitter. But later, I wrote a book. I called myself the designated Hebrew. Okay. Right. So got up to bat with Louis Tiant. Walked with the bases loaded. Got up to bat the second time as a DH. Got the first base hit as a DH. Okay. It didn't mean anything to me. I had no idea. I never thought the DH was even going to be in existence for another 6 months, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But after the game was over with, Cooperstown took all my, they took my baseball bat, they took the ball, they took my jersey, they took my uniform. So I don't know if you've been to Cooperstown before. Have you been to Cooperstown? Uh-huh. Okay, did you look at my bat, or you didn't even think about it? Oh, you looked at it. Okay. They had my bat there, and they did not put my jersey out, but they had my bat. And that was the day I screwed up the game of baseball. April the 6th, 1973. 50% of the people love it. 50% of the people hate it. But it's people don't realize that that's one of the highest paid positions in the game of baseball. And it saved a lot of players. Saved Aaron Judge when he came back from the DL. Mm-hmm. Stanton, when he came back, he got injured an awful lot, just like Aaron. And it's a good position for him. Gary Sanchez, who hits a lot of home runs and been struggling for the last couple of years. And, when you struggle in the field and have a lot of pass balls and, can't run real well, that's a position for a player to come back. But nowadays, it's a full-time position because you got Little League to have the DH. You got American Legion have the DH. You got high school baseball all have the DH. You got college baseball all have the DH. And the majority of the big leagues, the majority of the minor leagues have the DH. So, is it dumb not to have the DH? Absolutely. Would you want to watch a pitcher hit? They're the most depressing thing in the whole world when they hit. As soon as they hit, they pull a hamstring. They're out. They're out. And you look at who was the guy for the Yankees? Tanaka? Was it Tanaka? Yeah. It was Tanaka. Yeah, it was him. That remember he pulled 2 hamstrings because he got a base hit. And he was ran around the bases. He's never done it before. Uh-huh. So these guys make too much money for these guys to hit. And it's great for the game of baseball. So the National League will probably adopt it next season when they had the collective bargaining. That's in December this year. Mm-hmm. But it was the dumbest thing in the whole world not to have it again this year. But if you ask the National League teams, did they like the DH? Absolutely. They love the DH because it brings more excitement. And like I said before, you don't want to watch one of these pitchers who haven't even picked up they don't even know what a baseball bat is, and they go up and they try to hit, and they just sit there. Right. So the majority, there's some good hitters, That's like maybe 5% of the pitchers couldn't hit, but the other 9%, they're awful.
So after your playing career, what did you think about the most? Like post Yankees, what was your initial thinking after you became the free agent?
Well, see, when I was up in New York, I did a lot of TV, radio, and I did an awful lot of stuff. I had to go back home when I got released by the White Sox. I had 4 knees and 2 shoulder operations, and I just blew out. I could not play ball anymore. It was I just couldn't run. I couldn't throw. I couldn't do anything. It wasn't it was like me. I'm 72 years old now. And, I mean, you look at the fields, you look at all these people playing, and you say to yourself, how in the world did these people do it? I mean, that's what I did. I just could not play. I went back to Atlanta, took care of my mom and dad. My mother was getting sick. My father had a stroke. I had to take care of him, and I had an opportunity to go back up to do radio and TV up in New York, but I had to take care of them, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing things. Started doing a lot of stuff. The Yankees wanted me to do an awful lot of stuff at the stadium. I did a lot of meet and greets up in New York for the suites up there. Did stuff with George. Did stuff with Jennifer and Hal. And I commuted back and forth and back and forth. And then I had an opportunity to do something what I always wanted to do, teach kids. And I went to the New Jersey Y Camp. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the New Jersey Y Camp, it was a big deal because I just got out of baseball, 10 years, I forgot how many years I've been out, but it was great. It was great. And we had about 25, 30 kids. That's all we can actually have because our fields are very, very small and we could not have a lot more kids. But this is my 18th year at the New Jersey Y Camp and made tons of friends, see kids every single year that are older, that cannot really play baseball in our field because they're too old. And they come down to see me and I asked them, do you miss it? They said, Coach Blumberg, I had the greatest time in the world. Uh-huh. And that's great to be able to do that. And that's what I do now. And I wrote my first book, The Designated Hebrew. It did extremely well. We sold almost about, I think, close to 25 to 27,000 copies of the book. Wow. Now I wrote another book. It's coming out April the 20th. Okay. It's called The Captain and Me, about my very, very close, dear friend and my roommate, Thurman Munson. Mm-hmm. And it's doing extremely well. It's doing extremely well. They told me the other day that the pre-sales of the book is the highest pre-sales they have ever had on the book within 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. Getting tons of publicity from it. Baseball Digest picks it to be #1 bestseller. The New York Times are doing a feature. The Daily News is doing a feature. Mm-hmm. And it's fun. And it brings me back. And what I really want to do with this book is sell tons of books, not just for me, for Thurman Munson. I want Thurman Munson to be able to get in the Hall of Fame where he deserves. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand Thurman. Thurman was a grungy, tough guy, but he was wonderful off the field. And I want the fans to see the personality of Thurman and what we did together. And there was a movie that came out way before you, and you probably never seen it, but your father maybe, Bang the Drum Slowly. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, watch it. It's a book about 2 guys that are very, very close. One is dying. And, Thurman, of course, got killed in the plane crash, and we didn't know what was going to happen, of course. But the book is like that. It's like two friends that did everything together on and off the field. And that's why this book, I think, and this is between you and I think it could be a nice documentary. And I already spoke to a couple of people about it. Mm-hmm. So I think I know that this book is going to do quite well. And I'm very, very proud of it.
So I got a couple more questions for you. The next one is about your time in Israel in the Israeli Baseball League. So how did that start, and what was your favorite experience of that?
Okay, how it actually started was Marty Appel, who was a PR person for many, many years. And I forgot the people's name who, they contacted me. They contacted Art Shamsky. They contacted Kenny Holzman. Mm-hmm. They asked us, would we go over there and to start a league? We never started a league before. Hey, we had no idea. Could you picture us start? What were we going to start a league? We couldn't. Hey, I was very proud. I got bar mitzvah. I could do like maybe 2 lines of Still My Haftorah. And that's all the Hebrew I knew. That's all I knew. And they asked us to go over there to be a manager. And I have never had the opportunity to go there. Art Shamsky never had the opportunity. And Kenny Holzman never been over there. But I had it in 73 when Golden Meir Moshe Dayan was at Yankee Stadium. And I was having a pretty good year. I was a first DH. I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated and Sporting News and Time Magazine. And, I had a lot of things going on. So they asked me, we would love for you to come over to Israel. But my mom and dad, I'm 19 years old, 20 years old, I forgot. And they said, no, you're not going over to Israel. And that was the time that they had the war over there. So I did not go.
Right.
And so I lost that opportunity. But I said, this opportunity, I have the opportunity to go over to Israel and to be a manager. I had no idea. I never managed before. I had no idea what I was going to do. But we went over there. It was the greatest experience in the whole wide world. Mm-hmm. When you got off the plane in Ben Gurion Airport, I flew from the camp, the Jersey White camp. I flew over there to be able to manage over there. Right. And I was over there for, for 3 months. I was over there for like 2.5 to 3 weeks. I forgot. And it was wonderful. The people they're tough. They're very tough people. They had no idea what baseball was. And when we put that uniform on, they thought we were clowns. We lived in Tel Aviv in a nice hotel at the Dan Panorama, right next to the Intercontinental, mm-hmm. and right across the street from the Mediterranean Sea. Mm-hmm. How can you beat that? It was gorgeous. I don't know have you been to Israel before?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay, that was our first time. It was our first time. It was a different type of living. I was in a field called Kibbutz Gehrig. My team was the Bet Shemesh Blue Sox, not the Red Sox, but the Blue Sox. They made sure it was the Blue Sox because I told them it wasn't going to be the Red Sox. I told him it was not going to be. So, and I told him the only way I'm going to go there is the Blue Sox, but I got the Yankee pinstripes. Mm-hmm. So I had Yankee pinstripes, but I was a Blue Sox. Okay. And also the people were wonderful. The only thing that I did not like, and I could not get used to it, the food. I couldn't eat their food. See, I don't like Mediterranean food. I wanted, as soon as I got there, I wanted my pastrami, my corned beef, my brisket. I want my matzo ball soup, and I want my half sours, and I want my coleslaw, and I want my potato salad, and my Dr. Brown. And when I ordered that, they looked at me like I was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have that over there. And so I didn't have it. And so it was very difficult because I didn't like the breakfast because it was too greasy for me. Hey, back home down in Georgia, I ate my steak and potatoes and my black-eyed peas and my turnip greens and my okra and my sweet potato and my banana pudding and my peach cobbler. That's what I'm used to down south. That's what I'm used to. But when I went up to New York, I had to eat in one restaurant up in New York that I loved if I wanted Southern food, was Sylvia's. And that was up in Harlem in New York. It was myself and Bobby Bonds and Jim Ray Hart. It was Mickey Rivers. It was Thurman. It was all these guys we used to eat there. Oscar Gamble, we used to eat there all the time. And but the food in Israel, I lost 20 pounds was I there. I ate a lot of bread. The fruits was delicious, but I couldn't eat the meat and stuff. Everybody said, eat that, what is it called? A schwabler?
Shawarma.
Yeah, I couldn't eat that. I couldn't eat that stuff. I mean, that wasn't, I couldn't eat it. And, but see, when I went to McDonald's, I saw McDonald's one day, and in Tel Aviv, I said, I gotta go there. So I got my 10 hamburgers and I ate the first one, I bit into it. It didn't taste like a hamburger to me. And it was different. It was different. But I got used to it. But the people were wonderful. They took good care of us. We became friends with so many people over in Israel. The government took great care of us there. It was wonderful. I love the people there, and you couldn't beat the greatest thing in the whole world when you stand on that field, and when you look at the mountains that were there, and where we played, it was King Solomon was right at that mountain where we were in Beth Shemesh in Kibbutz Gehrig. And when you played and you played the Israeli national anthem, and when you played in front of the Jews, who, most of the Jews we played in front of were from New York or Connecticut, and they came from the States over there.
Right.
And we had the greatest reception in the whole world. They stood for us. We signed autographs. After the ball game, we signed autographs for like an hour and a half. But we took care of them. And these are the people. I mean, they're my people. And I was very, very proud to be able to go over there and to meet wonderful, wonderful people. And I did something what I wanted to do was to play in Israel, play in Tel Aviv with the national anthem, and playing where the world started in Israel.
So what was your favorite piece of advice that you've received over the course of your career?
Always be good to people. My parents, I grew up with very, very lucky. I had great parents. Most of the Jews who I grew up with, it wasn't many down in Atlanta. I grew up with a group, I grew up with the KKKs. Half my teammates were in the KKKs when I went to high school. 3 houses away from me was a Grand Dragon. But they always loved me because that's where all the scouts came in. And when it was like, hey, follow me, the scouts are going to be there. So, I mean, they did not bother me, to be honest with you. Most of the kids who I went to high school with were the KKK burning in Atlanta in a place called Stone Mountain. That was very, very big. But they had no idea what they were doing. To be honest with you, it was brought down from their grandparents to their parents to their parents to them, and it started to lose some steam because they had no idea what they were doing. They were just dressing up on Friday nights after we played sports, and they went over to the cross burnings. I saw all that stuff, but my mom and dad always taught me and to if you hear anything about being a Jew, just walk away from it. That's what I did. I walked away because I knew I was better than they were. And I would always tell my people, always be good to people. Always be good. If a child came up to you, the day that they didn't ask you for an autograph is a day that you're not successful. And I've been very, very lucky to be out of baseball and written 2 good books and made tons and tons and tons of friends. And when I'm up in camp this year, I can't wait till I meet your father. I think we'll have a good time. I got to get him a uniform. He still hasn't told me his size uniform. And I gotta, have him put on maybe the Yankee uniform. Maybe you like that. But it was wonderful to be able to talk to your father because, I mean, talking to a fan and, and talking to a person that loved the Yankees. And that's what I did when I grew up. I lived a fantasy. I mean, he's a star because, I mean, he was a guy that we played for, and I got to do what I wanted to do, and I was very happy to do it.
Mm-hmm. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever given, that you would say that you would give to a kid?
In what way? Study, go to school. Don't, well, now we have to, be very careful because of the virus. Mm-hmm. It's been a very, very tough year and a half. To be honest with you, it's because I'm a guy that loves to do things. I'm a guy that loves to be out. Down in Atlanta is a lot different than New York. We are opened up probably about 80-85% in Atlanta. So I can do things. I work out every single morning. You wear your mask, and when you're 6 feet away from everybody, you gotta wipe your machines and the Stairmaster and treadmill. You have to do all that, but I do that every morning about 4:15 every morning. I get up around 3:45, go to the gym every single day for an hour and a half, take my sauna, sit in there, talk to my friends. There are not a lot of people there early in the morning. That's one reason why I go, because it's real clean. So I go there, and because my book is, I finished my book. Now it's being printed. It's already printed. It's already being sent to my book company now. Mm-hmm. And I'll get to see the first book, hopefully in the next week. And then my book will be on the market on April the 20th. And before I leave you, I'm going to give you my website. They can go to it. The people will love this book. I'm just telling you, not because I've written the book. It's a wonderful book. I've had some of the papers have already read it, and they projected this book to be one of the biggest summer book in a long time. Mm-hmm. It's a great book. It's not a baseball book where you sit down and talk about stats. It's a human interest book. Mm-hmm. It's a book where people will do a book review on, book report. This is a book that people could read it in the summer, winter, fall, spring. It's a great book, and I'm very proud of it. And the person that co-authored with it, his name was Dan Epstein. He's written for many Jewish publications, and he was an editor for for a little while for the Rolling Stones, and he's very, very, he is an unbelievable writer. And I'm very, very happy to have found him and to express myself. And the book is large. It's over, 300 pages. And it's a nice book. And it's beautiful. Have you seen the cover of it?
Not yet.
Oh, what are you talking about? You having me doing a Zoom, and you never seen a cover of the book?
No, not yet.
Oh, you got to see the book. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. You got to read the reviews. It's beautiful. You've seen baseball cards, right?
Yes.
It's a picture of myself and Thurman on the front part of the book. It's beautiful. You got to read it. You got to look at it.
All right. So before we go, is there one thing that you would that you want to tell our listenership and our viewership?
Oh, absolutely. I want people to go to my they could go to Facebook if they wanted to pre-order the book now, and go to Amazon and look at The Captain and Me, and it will pull up. I just found out about it today. It was the #1 book. Even nobody said people bought the book pre-selling, but it's the #1 book in New York today. I just saw it a few minutes ago. Okay, but anyway, I want you to go to Facebook and order the book. If you don't like it, send it back to me. I'll give you your money back. Hey, I'll take it, because it's going to be sold out pretty soon. It's that good. Okay. #2, that's if you go on Facebook, go to Amazon and look at Captain and Me. If you want me to sign it, you got to go to my website. It will be up within a week. My website is Ron, R-O-N, Blumberg. It's 1-0, not like Mayor Bloomberg. It's BLOMBERG, Yankees, YANKEES.com. That's my website. If you want to go and get my designated Hebrew, or if you want to go to Captain and Me, they're two great books, but they're two different books. And the new book is Captain and Me. People will love it. And if they want to, they'll send it to me. No, they won't send. I'm sorry. I'll have a copy of it here at my house, because they send me a lot of books, almost 1,000 books. And I'm going to have my whole house filled with books, but half of them already gone. They already been taken from clubs and everything like that. So as soon as I'll be signing them. But you know what, Seth? It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really wonderful.
It's great. Are you going to read my book?
I will, I'm sure. And I hope everyone who is listening and
you
watching,
better tell them that, because it's a wonderful,
will do, yes.
You got to tell them, Seth, it's a great book. And you know what? It's been great to be able to talk to the future. Let me see, who should I say? Who's your, who is your idol now in doing this? Who's your idol?
I don't know.
Are you a Yankee or Met fan?
I'm a Yankee fan, of course.
Okay, Yankee fan. Okay. Who do you like to listen to? You like to listen to Michael Kay, John Sterling?
John Sterling, of course.
You like John and Susan, right?
Yeah.
John was, when my son Adam was born at Lenox Hill Hospital, and I forgot how, my son is 44 years old. I forgot what year he's born. But anyway, it was a snowstorm, and he was there sitting with me when my son was born. He's very, very close with me. Michael Kay is extremely, very, very close with Michael, and David Cohn, Paul O'Neill, all those guys. And Susan Wallman, they're very, very close friends.
Thank you again, Ron, for joining me. And we look forward to sharing this episode with you.
Seth, it's been wonderful. I've had such a wonderful time with you. I see a future star in the making. And I got to say, you are a star now. Anybody that looks at this podcast in Zoom, you'll be very, very, very impressed by him. He's wonderful. He keeps your interest up. He knows the material, and you will enjoy him for many, many, many years. And one day, we might see him at the stadium and saying, what does John say?
The Yankees win.
That's it right there. That is a winner.
All right. Thank you, and we'll see you soon on the Schlank Show.